I want to be in old New Hampshire. I want to go.
Hello, I'm the editor of the New Hampshire Genealogical Record, Ruth Craig. I'm here to talk to you about the fall 2025 issue of the journal, volume 37, number 3. And I'm going to mainly talk about 3 articles in this upcoming journal. We also have much other content in the journal, but the 3 articles. The first of the 3 articles is about a man named Alexander Ralston. He came to the United States from Scotland, and he, shortly after arriving a couple years, came up to central New Hampshire, Keene, New Hampshire. So he already had 2 daughters when he came here, born in Scotland, and then he had a total of 10 children. I think 8 of them survived to adulthood. And we have the whole family. He owned a distillery and a tavern in Keene. He became quite wealthy. And his second daughter, Elizabeth Ralston, she married as her second husband a man named Jesse Hawley. Now, Jesse Hawley was the man that was behind the whole concept of the Erie Canal, and it just would blow your mind back in those days. The canal opened in 1825, but of course he was developing the idea much before that, because it involves moving boats long distances where it's at increasing elevation made possible by this series of locks. So he was probably a genius to think of this. He was a bit of an unusual character, as you will see if you read the article, like all the stipulations of who could not get what from his will. And Elizabeth, they actually eventually divorced. You'll probably be able to read between the lines and see why when you read the article. But you'll learn a lot about this immigrant family, but also a lot about the Erie Canal and how it led to this enormous westward expansion of the U.S. because now people and everything they needed could travel up to western New York and even then go beyond there. Now, the second article that I want to talk about, well, in regards to the second article, did you know that Paul Revere rode up to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, months before his more famous ride to Lexington and Concord? It's true, and you can learn about it in this article by Priscilla Eaton. It's about a tavern in Portsmouth called Stuteley's Tavern. It was owned by James Stuteley, and this is all about the tavern and James and his family. So the thing about the tavern, it was rebuilt after a fire, rebuilt in 1761, and it has seen so much New Hampshire history. It was this, it was a very lavish, fancy inn, and they had banquets there, huge banquets with, months worth of preparation to get all the food ready and just even grow the, all the whatever they needed. Also the site of proprietors' meetings and, unfortunately, the site of slave auctions. But one of the most interesting things about it is that Portsmouth was very much involved in revolutionary activity, and especially when Paul Revere came up in end of 1774 and gave the alarm that the British were planning to send more men to the fort in Portsmouth Harbor. And so word traveled fast because this tavern and other taverns in central Portsmouth. And within a couple days, hundreds of men came out. They marched out to the fort, and they were able to retrieve most of the gunpowder and the cannons and the munitions that were at the fort and bring them back for the colonials. So this is just a great article about an important piece of New Hampshire history. Now, the third article is an article by Scott Andrew Bartley, and it's about Jesse Lamphere, who married in Lebanon, New Hampshire in 1774. He married Susanna Gray. And this article was touched upon, the people in this article were touched upon in an article by a different author in the New Hampshire Genealogical Record at the beginning of the year. So this is an update to the previous article, because Scott Andrew Bartley is really been just an expert on the Lamphere family, which is it's a difficult family to research, in part because the surname Lamphere, I mean, we're used to spelling variations, but there are literally dozens of variations for Lamphere. And the other thing is the reuse of the Christian name. So, for example, Jesse Lamphere, the one who married in Lebanon in 1774, had a nephew named Jesse Lamphere who married in Grafton, Vermont, not too long after that. And to sort out these two men, which one was with which record, is really, it's wonderful to be able to have this article. So Scott has been able to identify Jesse's death date, his wife Susanna's death date. He identified their two children. Most of the family moved to Vermont, and at least 3 out of those 4 are buried in Vermont. So it's just really pleasing to be able to add this to the information about the Lamphere family. We also have book reviews in our journal. You got to check out the book reviews. I just finished a book that I decided, because the book review was so exciting and it was a great book. And we have a context article by Robert Cameron Weir. It's called Yankee Exodus, and it's about why, if you have ancestors who lived in New Hampshire and then left, this is about not only the Erie Canal, but all the other factors that might have contributed to the big why. Why did your ancestor leave New Hampshire? And this is a very short but information-packed article that will really further your thinking about if you have ancestors who left New Hampshire. Okay. Happy fall, and enjoy this issue. Bye-bye.